What is going on, everybody, and welcome to another Beta Memoirs. In today's Chop Fest extravaganza, there wasn't a lot going on today. I know for myself, there was a lot of fake outs this morning. It is pretty clear that we are waiting tomorrow on the data, the CPI data. The Fed actually was talking about inflation quite a bit today, so we had a dramatic sell on a lot of tech, but everything is still sitting in range because we want to see what the core inflation data is going to bring tomorrow. Being said, there's a couple things we want to look at here. The core inflation data, the last one we got, essentially travel, stocks, leisure essentially had the biggest impact on inflation, supply and demand. There was a lot of people that were trying to take trips or vacations during the summer. So that was seen, that was foretold by Powell. Now, tomorrow, we want to see if it is still transitory, like Powell was stating. We should see inflation shift to something else. It shouldn't be in travel and leisure, but we will see if that's the case tomorrow. And I know I talked about this the other day. Used car sales were up 17%, I believe it was 18%, just a couple months ago. Now they're down 4% from that point. So you're starting to see the rotation. So we want to make sure we're seeing that rotation tomorrow, and this will at least show that it's transitory and not essentially here to stay. Because if it remains in leisure, remains in used cars, remains in other avenues and not something else, then the inflation is a problem. Powell, we probably won't hear much about him until Jackson Hole. So we still got about 2 more weeks. But the rest of the Fed is saying that inflation is really bad, and that measures need to be taken. Essentially, rates need to be increased. But even with the rates being increased, they're talking about November. Powell just said not until late next year. So there is a wide gap there in what is actually legitimate, what will be changed. We also have to remember that Powell, his term is up, I believe, in February. So I think he can choose to stay. I think the position's been offered to him. I'm not quite sure, but ultimately we'll see what happens there. He may decide to walk away. Who knows? But from that point, it will be really interesting because some of the people they've been talking about who could possibly replace him have been talking about making that hike. But from Powell's standpoint, he wants to make sure nobody is left behind, is what he's ultimately doing. That's why rates haven't been increased. He keeps reiterating that over and over. So Jackson Hole will be interesting. But SPY sideways for tomorrow because the true story on inflation will be told tomorrow in the CPI data. So the true story will essentially be told in the CPI data tomorrow. That does come out at 8:30 a.m. Eastern Standard Time in the morning, so that's before market open. So we'll definitely start getting movement from that point. So we'll determine if there is inflation. They're expecting some really high numbers. I believe it was even 7% they were talking about at one point. So that's extremely high. If that is the case, I believe tech to do some selling. Value, we saw value in banks essentially being taken over today. Banks have been running for a couple of days, but value really picked up. Some of your mid caps started picking up on fears of inflation. So that is if everything is below expectations tomorrow, then you'll see big tech pick it back up and start running. For a brief minute today, Apple and Facebook started to run and started to push. Amazon started to push. All big tech looked like it was ready to go until the Fed got on the horn and started talking about inflation and its concerns, and then it just started selling off where value took over from that point. So again, I have to see tomorrow. There is no watch list again because ultimately I want to see what happens with that inflation data. I don't want to give you any wrong tickers because that can dramatically change by tomorrow morning. QQQ, everything has been playing range. Everything hasn't been gone extremely outside of range aside from vaccines and banks, like I said, and then some value today. But ultimately, you want to watch FANG, see what happens with that in the morning. If FANG starts really pushing, you're probably going to see a big pullback in banks. Banks are going to drop fast. All the value that popped today will drop fast. So something to keep in mind. Infrastructure bill got passed today. So it's infrastructure bill, I think, was kind of garbage only because of the fact that there wasn't a lot of meaningful stuff in there. So it'll be interesting to see what's ultimately going to come of that. Again, we got infrastructure or the inflation data tomorrow. Again, what we're all waiting on, but we'll have to see there. The VIX might actually get a nice pop tonight. I didn't take a position in this today. I did play some shop. I got tagged out of hood today. That was the other thing I was going to go over is earnings. Coin crushed earnings. But as you can see, after hours, the guidance isn't so great. And I think their biggest concern here right now with Coin, because Coin doesn't really have very much stateside competition, is regulation and taxes. I think is what could be an issue for foreseeable future here. It does trade flat tomorrow. See if this thing wants to run tomorrow. That is one of my continuation plays right now. I'm trying to catch momentum. FUBO crushed earnings. They were flying actually after hours. So it'll be interesting to see where this ends up tomorrow. It might be a good continuation. Mark off your support resistance or your zone when this thing essentially bottoms or holds overnight, as long as it breaks back above that essentially pre-market high. It should be able to run again from that point. U is the other one. They destroyed earnings as well. Expected since DDD did extremely well. It actually has been ran really well today, but took a nosedive later in the day. So I want to see if that is something that's going to play for you as well tomorrow. I want to see where this ends up. It is obviously back and forth forward guidance. I think if depending upon lockdowns, maybe it could be chip issues, things like that. Could be what is holding us back, but it's crushed earnings. I believe it was 30% year over year. It's been increasing, so it's definitely awesome. And then again, you could even look at possible HUD if coin starts to run tomorrow. I'm trying to think of what else. Ultimately, look at value. If inflation does come in, you can expect the banks to run quite a bit again tomorrow. Look at some other value. Again, I don't play value a lot, so I don't really want to give you any value. BA has been kind of doing okay. I think ultimately you'd be safer in banks if the inflation stuff comes out. Let tech cool off. I think it'd be nice to let tech cool off from this point. Take position going into the holiday season. Then we'd probably see some bigger moves in tech in preparation for the next earnings cycle. So we'd like to see a little bit more selling going on. But value. So I know Win was pretty fat, but I know I think it was Carnival, Caribbean Royal Caribbean. But I know CCL, that's what it was, CCL. Carnival and then them had a little bit of a move today. These aren't huge movers. I don't really typically like playing these too much, but we'll have to see. We still have Disney. We still have a couple other ones later on here this week. And look at what else we got this week. Tomorrow we got NIO. We got Wendy's in the morning. That's something else that might start moving as well. Any kind of restaurants might do really well. At the close tomorrow, we got NIO, Clover, Open Door, and eBay tomorrow, Blink tomorrow. And then again on Thursday, we have quite a few big ones. We have Palantir in the morning. We have Baidu in the morning. And then in the afternoon, we have Disney, Wish, Airbnb, Rocket, Sophie, Tattooed Chef. So Thursday will be a big day as well, but I think we got some good runners. All these three here, FUBO, Coinbase, and Unity have crushed earnings. So it's good to see what the continuation is there. And again, Wendy's might be a big runner tomorrow. There might be some sympathy plays off of Wendy's, perhaps a pump back in Domino's, perhaps a pump back in Chipotle as well. So those are things to watch. So if you've made it this far, remember to hit the like button and subscribe if you've already done so. Until next time, guys, I'll see you later.